Dark Star is a 1974 science fiction comedy directed by John Carpenter. If I told you that there's a sci-fi movie directed by John Carpenter, written by John Carpenter and Dan O'Bannon, which is considered to be a precursor to Alien, you would probably think it's a really scary horror movie. But no, it's actually a silly comedy. A starship named Dark Star is traveling around the galaxy using super powerful bombs to destroy unstable planets in order to make star systems safe for settlement. The crew are a bunch of tired, fed up men who really don't want to be there. They're lazy, they're lethargic, burned out. They just kind of search for ways to pass the time between missions. It's probably not too different from the way it is on an actual ship. The ship is falling into disrepair and is lacking in supplies. They're 3 years into this mission. One mishap after another leads to an incident in which a bomb is primed to detonate while it's still attached to the ship. And so in the climax, they have to figure out a way to keep the bomb from detonating. This is a short movie. It's only about an hour 20. The focus is on the comedy, but there is some character development. Lieutenant Doolittle has to take over for the deceased commander, and he just isn't ready for it. He even resorts to getting advice from what is left of the original commander, who is cryogenically frozen. But Doolittle does prove himself in the end, trying to save one of his crew members. If the movie has a protagonist, it's Sergeant Pinback, who's played by O'Bannon. He is the black sheep of the crew. The rest of them are annoyed by him. Ironically, he wanted to be an astronaut, but ended up being a fuel handler that accidentally went on the mission. Now he's trapped there with these people that have no respect for him. This movie can be very mellow and deadpan, especially at the start. Just kind of existing with these guys as they cope with the boredom and isolation and slowly go crazy. The film starts with a transmission from Earth, and it sets the tone perfectly. It's intentionally a bit awkward. There's a lack of care there when it comes to the safety and comfort of the crew. The ship looks retro. There was clearly a love of older sci-fi movies there, but they've made it lived in. They've made it look like all of these burned out guys have made it their home, not exactly keeping it clean. One of the funny things is that the bridge of the ship is ridiculously cramped. As you would expect, the music is made by Carpenter. Overall, it's pretty good. It sounds like something out of an old British sci-fi series. One of the few problems that I had with the film was that the characters, at least physically, blend together a little bit. They all wear pretty much the identical tan jumpsuits. They've all got these big 70s beards and this long hair. They look like they're lost members of the Bee Gees. There are people that appreciate this film for its humor. It has a cult following. There's people that appreciate this film because it's something like Evil Dead, where you're watching students using a low budget make something. There's a lot of creativity that went into this. There's a lot of passion. It's inspiring. It's an important film for several other reasons. First of all, it's the directorial debut of the legendary John Carpenter. It's also the debut of Dan O'Bannon, another legend. He worked on so many things. He worked on Star Wars, the heavy metal movie, wrote and directed The Return of the Living Dead, wrote Life Force, Total Recall, Screamers, all of these great sci-fi and horror films. But most importantly of all, he would go on to write Alien. The feeding the alien sequence is probably the most famous and influential part of this film because it was the audience's failure to laugh that made O'Bannon try his hand at scaring them instead. There are a couple of older sci-fi horror films that are cited as inspirations for Alien, but ultimately it would come out of all things this silly movie. To be fair, the part in the elevator shaft is actually kind of harrowing, so maybe that put horror on his mind. One of the criticisms of Dark Star that I've never understood is that the alien is blatantly a beach ball. Are they forgetting that it's a comedy? It's a part of the joke. It even dies like a beach ball, deflating. Another way in which this film is influential is that it is a big inspiration for the Red versus Blue Machinima series. The idea of an intelligent bulb that has to be convinced not to explode is borrowed for that series. So there you have it, Dark Star, a goofy little low budget sci fi movie, a lot of people's first project, and it would go on to have a massive impact.